everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Lavender Cottage Fibre Arts podcast. Thank you so much for joining us if you're new to our channel, and welcome back if you were here for our first episode. We would like to acknowledge that we're recording this podcast on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and also extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people watching this video.
So my name's Anna and this is Pia, and we're sisters from Melbourne in Australia, and this is our podcast where we talk about fibre arts, so predominantly knitting and crochet, but also a little bit of embroidery and weaving as well. So yeah, thank you to everyone who watched the first episode and left us a comment particularly. We did get a little bit of feedback about the sound, so we will hopefully have improved that for this video. But again, if you're struggling to hear, please do let us know, and we will try to keep working on things. This is obviously the first time that we've done anything like this, so yeah, really appreciate all the feedback and your patience as well as we kind of try to get our setup optimized. But so I think, yeah, we can just jump into our first segment, which is called Hot Off the Hooks, Hot Off the Needles. And that is where we talk about things that we have finished up since the previous episode. Okay, so this is Hot Off the Hooks, Hot Off the Needles, but I think we will actually start off with Hot Off the Loom because, yeah, as we mentioned in the last episode, I think just before we recorded the episode.
Yeah, it was a couple of days before. I think the following week we went to Kyneton.
Yeah, so we went to a Sauri weaving studio, which is called the Art Weaver Studio, which is in, I think it's actually technically in Malmesbury, but it's in that sort of Kyneton, Daylesford type of area. We've been there a couple of times before, and yeah, this time we booked in for 1.5 days, so Thursday morning and then Friday all day, the two of us. And actually we were the only two people there. I think Heather usually, she's got space I think for up to 4 weavers at one time, but we were the only 2 people there, so we'll, I guess, show you what we've done. I can't call this mine 100% finished objects because I haven't like woven in all my ends and stuff, but
no, neither have I, but I've not got much to
yeah, I think they're close enough to being finished to call them FOs. So do you want to go first?
Yep. So I decided to do something a little bit different at the workshop this time. Previously, I've done sort of like abstract kind of designs just with a sort of a color palette in mind. But for this workshop, I decided to try and do pardon me, 2 kind of landscape pictures. So basically trying to make a picture with the fibers instead of doing sort of a pattern of stripes or
a little bit higher
or different shapes. So this one's sort of like an ocean kind of you know, sort of scape with a little bit of land coming out. So yeah, I used different sorts of fibers for the water. So there were some darker blue ones to represent sort of like the deeper parts of the water. She had this one really cool yarn that had these sort of little tags on it that I used to make sort of little, you know, floater things of seaweed kind of thing. She had one yarn that was sort of like this kind of boucle, sort of bubbly sort of yarn that was good for doing these bits of like foam on top of the waves. And then I did sort of, it transitions up to the kind of the lighter blues as you're getting closer to the shoreline. And then for these sort of like kind of like shrubs that you see like on sand dunes, I used some sort of like more rough textured fibers to give that kind of texture, and that's using a technique called a grub, which is where you basically wind some loops of yarn around a bobbin and then pull it off, and then you just sort of slot that in between the warp threads. So this is not sort of woven back and forth, the fibers are basically just kind of just trapped in place. And then for the sky with the clouds, she had a sort of like a fluffy kind of yeah, fluffy yarn that was good for doing clouds. So that was my ocean one, which I was really happy with. And then the second landscape was like a kind of like a countryside sort of themed landscape with some heels of, you know, different sort of shades of green. And then I've got sort of down the bottom here, again, using that kind of grub technique to make little shrubs. And again, got some sort of fluffy yarn in the top to represent the clouds. And so this one I used, Heather showed me a technique called, is it called clasp? Weft technique. Yeah. And that's where you get sort of how in one row, I guess you've got 3 different colors. So you've got the green of this hill, then it goes to the blue, and then the green on this side, because the sky kind of like dips down. So that was a bit more of a, I guess more of an, I'm very beginner, so like a slightly more advanced technique, that it was good to try something a little bit different. So yeah, I'm really happy with how both of those turned out. Just got a little bit of sort of tidying up at the edges to do, and then I'll probably just kind of attach them to some sort of dowel to have as like a wall hanging. So that's what I'm intending these to be for, not as like a functional thing for like a table runner or, you know, to sew into something, but just to have as a decorative kind of wall hanging.
Nice.
Thank you.
So I did 3 pieces, but I guess because they're more sort of bit more abstract, I think it's not as complicated. So this one is the first one that I did. So with this one, the main thing, I every single time I go there, I always seem to get drawn towards these. She has their sort of recycled sari silk. She sometimes does have some recycled sari silk that's spun, but she actually didn't have any of that this time. So she just had the sort of ribbons. So I sort of, was drawn towards those sort of jewel tones, that pink. There was this brown one, which I haven't used before, which I actually really liked. And so, I kind of just basically chose a few other sort of yarns and fibers that kind of complemented the colors of those sari silk ribbons, and just made an abstract piece that was sort of based around the colors from the sari ribbons. And I did also put a bit of like this metallic thread, for a bit of just a different texture, I suppose. But this one, unfortunately, I guess with this style of doing all these sort of little sort of floats throughout the weaving, it does leave you with a fair bit of work to do to finish it off. But some of them, though, I think the silk ribbons, honestly, you can just chop them off at the sides and they'll never come out. But some of the others, I will kind of sew them into the back. So that was the first thing I did. Then the second thing I did was I did decide to do something to have like a field of lavender as my inspiration, and then make something based on that. So what I've done is, you can see, it looks nothing like a field of lavender. It's really just, I guess, the color palette. So I used that clasp weft technique as well, but I just had 2 intersecting weft threads and just kind of zigzag them up. And some of these I blended a couple of different fibers together. Like this section here is like a purple and a white fiber blended together. Other sections I just used one fiber, and then within those blocks of color, I then just used some, I think I have some wool tops in there. I do have a little bit of sort of just roving, and some more of that sari ribbon and a couple of metallic threads just to add a little bit of texture. And this mint green section has some banana silk fibers as well, just to add. So I kind of wanted to do like solid blocks of color with then just sort of textural interest. I think that's what I usually do when I go there, is I really like to use different textures to create interest in the piece. So that is my fields of lavender weaving. And then the last thing I did sort of very quickly, because I think I finished the lavender one with maybe like 2 hours of the day to go. So I knew that I had to do something that would work up quickly and a fairly small piece. So I just made this really small probably will end up being a wall hanging as well. Obviously, yeah, it's looking a bit unfinished, but it will, yeah, hopefully won't take me too long to sew all those ends in. And this one, it's my depiction of like a wall with like vines of colorful flowers growing on it. So hopefully you can see from the distance there, but I've actually got these 4 supplementary warp threads in different tones of green that are like the vines. And then the way I achieved the look of the flowers was basically, it's using more of that sari silk ribbon, and then there are a few of the colors that are some banana silk fiber as well. That's this purple here and this blue here. And I basically just like smushed it up into a bit of a ball and stuffed it into the warp, and then beat down as I passed the sort of the weft thread behind it as well. So, and I think I had to do like 2 little scrunchy bits on top of each other to get the flowers. So they're a little bit flatter, like the flowers look a little bit sort of flattened compared to what I was going for, but I still like it, and I think it came out really well. And Heather said that she had never seen anyone make something like this, like use that sort of technique of having these really small sort of scrunchy up bits to create this sort of and it's quite, if you look at it up close, it's quite 3-dimensional as well. So maybe I might try and insert like a close-up photo of it on the side of the video, just to show you that it is quite 3-dimensional as well. So yeah, those were the 3 weavings that I made, but yeah, just have to finish them off weaving the ends. Maybe that'll be something to do over the Christmas break or something like that. Yeah, shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, so. And if anyone's interested to see like how the process of the sari weaving looks like, we have a reel on Instagram, I think. Of Anna doing some of the steps of the weaving. Yeah. So check it out if you're interested to see how it works. It's very easy, and you definitely don't need to have any experience to go to one of Heather's workshops.
No, because one time we went, our mum came with us as well, and she'd never done it before, and she made a wall hanging that's, I think, I don't know, maybe like 1 meter long in a day with no prior experience whatsoever. So it is something that you can pretty much learn not obviously everything, but you can learn the basics within, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then, be weaving away and just, ask for help whenever you need it. So I guess now, do we have some, we've got a whole bunch of knitting and crochet finished objects. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so I've only got one other finished object, which I don't actually have with me today because it's been gifted. But I did finish the chevron or zigzag rainbow blanket that I showed in the last video. I think in the last video I was up to about the orange section, so I didn't have too much more to go to finish the rainbow. I just did 2 sort of like red kind of tones and then a pink, and then that finished that one off. So that one is all done, which is my sort of, I think I started, when did I start that one? Probably sometime in September. So it did take me a little while to finish.
It's big though.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was I think it's called the Easy Knit Baby Blanket, or Easy Knit Chevron Baby Blanket from the Sweater Collective, but we'll link to the Ravelry page in the description.
Awesome. So I have a bunch of things that I've finished
since very busy.
last time. I'm just trying to read my own writing. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. I can't remember. I will just start showing you anyway. So I think the order that I will show them in is the order that I started them in, not the order that I finished them in, just because that's the way, I guess, your Ravelry projects page works. So the first one, I did show this in my last video. It is this bobble tassel bunting. So I only had, at the last video, all I had to do was weave in the ends of the triangles it's backwards, sorry. And then block them, and then there we go. It's too long to get the whole thing in the video. Block them and then crochet the band across the top. So I did that. I actually bought a blocking board on Etsy. it's pretty cool. This lady, she uses like offcuts from like kitchen cabinet making that I think would otherwise go to landfill, and she makes blocking boards, and that did make it a lot easier to block this. But I think I need to block it again, because like when you like blocking it the first time really did give the flags, I guess would you call them, like a good shape. But then when you crochet the band across the top, it is causing them to warp a little bit. So I just want to, I want to give it one final block, probably just on my blocking mat rather than the board. But yeah, I would highly recommend the blocking boards for anyone doing sort of like, granny square or anything like that type projects. Like it just made it so easy to get them all like the identical size. It was really quite good. Did take a while to dry, I guess, because of those puff stitches with the flowers. I think they take a long time to dry.
It's quite dense
after you block them. So that was the first FO. The second FO I don't have either anymore because it is a gift. But I also do have a video that I can pop over the top of this video, and that was a baby mobile. So I'm calling it the Friendly Jellyfish Mobile, and it incorporates two patterns. One is called the Friendly Jellyfish. It's just like an amigurumi pattern from Chiwei Rank, and obviously that will be, the Ravelry page will be linked. That was a free pattern on Ravelry. And then, so I made 3 jellyfish and then 3 little starfish as well. And the starfish is also another free pattern on Ravelry from Angela Taranina. And I should have said the bunting just uses Scheepjes Catona in a whole bunch of colours that I had left over from a blanket that I made. And for the jellyfish mobile, the jellyfish themselves, I used some cotton, which is from Abbey Road, which is, I think, like Spotlight. It's one of their in-house brands, but it's their Abbey Road Freedom Cotton, and the shade is called Pushtop, and it's all from the one yarn, the 3 different jellyfish. So it's a colour changing yarn. And then the starfish, I used some more Catona scraps that I had. So that one was a baby gift for a friend of mine who I used to work with, and she is having a baby in mid-Jan, I think, mid-January. So that would be nice. I kind of like chose to make that for her because her partner is like a swimmer and swimming coach. So I just thought like something like water themed, would be nice. Nice, thing to make. So that one is that. I think it turned out really cute. And it was just fun, easy pattern to make. So my next FO is I think I have 5. So this is the third one. This is another one of those Edda bags from the pattern is designed by Suzanne Muller, but you can get the pattern, it's free on the We Are Knitters website. I think you just have to sign up for the website. It is a crochet pattern though on the We Are Knitters website. I don't know, I guess We Are Knitters and Crocheters is like too long of a website name. So this is also in that Abbey Road Freedom Cotton, and this one, the shade is called Tiny Teddy. I don't know what the hell Tiny Teddies have to do with
it looks like an
army colours,
like
but so that is the third of this bag that I have made. I am probably a little bit sick of making these bags now, so I think I will give it a rest for a while. But this one's for my mum. So that was the colours. I just showed her all the different shades of this Abbey Road Freedom Cotton that I had, and this was the shade that she picked out. So this will be a gift for her. Yes, an army shopping bag. I don't know. All right, so second last is this bag, another bag. I've been on a bit of a bag craze. And I think I showed this one last time as a whip. So this is called the Sandy Sunset Tote. The pattern is from Loops and Love Crochet, and the yarn is again the Abbey Road Freedom Cotton. I think it was on half price at Spotlight, and I went a bit.
You bought every colour.
Went a bit berserk. No, I didn't buy every colour, but I probably bought
almost every colour.
And this one is called Tutti Frutti. So very bright, in your face bag for Pia to take her laptop to work. So that is a gift for you. There you go.
Thank you. I have already used it. The colours really reminds me, if anyone's from Australia, of the Lolly's fruit tingles.
Yeah, like the wrapper on the outside.
Yeah,
so
it's like these kind of colours.
We call this
the fruit tingle bag.
Yeah. And then my last FO was something I just really quickly whipped up, I think in about 2 days. So it's a cowl. You can see, and it just uses a linen stitch, the crochet linen stitch. And the reason that I did this, I really like the linen stitch for sort of showcasing like variegated color in yarns. Like I find that it just really sort of highlights the color changes really nicely. And I actually wanted to make a linen stitch scarf to use up. I had a cowl that I made from yarn that I reclaimed from a cardigan that I didn't like. I like the colour, but I didn't like the style anymore. So I reclaimed the yarn, made the honey cowl out of it, and I think I showed that in the first episode.
Yeah, that in the last one.
But then I had probably about 50 grams of that yarn left, and I just was looking for something that I could just finish that small amount of yarn, because I don't know, it felt too nice to just like, I don't know, throw it away or I don't know, use it to stuff like a toy or something. Like I know you can, you know, that's one good use for sort of offcuts of yarn is for stuffing. But so I started making a linen stitch scarf, and then I got about halfway through and I ran out of the hand dyed yarn. So I thought, no, it's going to look dumb if I then have like the rest of the scarf is just all the white and brown, because in that pattern I was just basically alternating rows of the hand dyed, the white and this brown in that I've got in these yarns here. And I was doing it like sometimes I would do 2 rows, another time I'd do 3, sometimes 1, just trying to make it a bit random. But yeah, I got about sort of halfway of the width that I wanted, and I had no more of the hand dyed yarn left. So I thought, oh, you know, don't have enough for a scarf. What else could I do? I thought, well, a cowl is probably like half a scarf kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I decided. I ripped it all out and started again on this cowl. And the name of this cowl is the Cottage Faded Linen Cowl by Catherine Trinity. This one is also a free pattern on Ravelry, and so I use that hand-dyed yarn, and then the other 2 yarns are from Vera Moda, and it's their Koosh yarn in vanilla, which is the white or sort of off-white cream kind of colour, and string, which is this brown colour. And those were also ones that I had left over from when I made some loveys, some toys in the middle of the year. So I had a bit of those left over, a bit of this left over. So my goal was to use up all of them. Annoyingly, I've now got about 20 or 30 grams of the 2 Koosh ones left. So I've still got to find something to use those for, but I just don't want to have those sort of little bits like just
scrappy bits
lying around, because I don't know, I feel like if it was a fingering weight, I could, you know, put them in my scrappy blanket that I'm making, but it's a DK weight, so I will, I mean, this yarn, the Koosh, wasn't very expensive, so if I really can't find anything to do with it, I'll just use it for stuffing, but at least I've used up all of that hand-dyed yarn. So so I think that's all of our finished objects. So I guess we can update our stats for the Project Yarnathon. So this is this challenge that we're just doing for a bit of fun. It's nothing serious, but we're trying to knit or crochet a marathon's worth of yarn. So in the last episode, I had completed 3,657 meters.
Wow.
And since then I have done an additional 1,639 meters, so I'm up to 5,296 meters, which is 12.55% of a marathon. And
impressive.
The total length, I should have said that at the start, the total length of the marathon is 42,195 meters, or roughly 42 kilometers. So yes, I am just over 10% of the way there.
Wow.
I kind of thought I would like to get 12.5% by the end of the year. I've obviously already hit that, so I don't know, maybe I should just
aim for 15% or
maybe 14% by the end of the year. But I guess we're just updating by video. I'm also on my Instagram, I'm updating every month, but like at the end of the month. But today is what, like the 10th of December, is it?
I think it's at the 13th.
Something somewhere around there. So yes, that's
It's mid-December.
yeah, that's me. And then so Pia,
I made it past the starting line, which is where I was at the previous one.
Got to be in it to win it.
So my only finished object was, because we're not counting the weavings. This is just for knitting and crochet.
Yeah, if we counted the weavings, you could just be like zip, 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 and then you can like
done an ultra marathon or something. So my cotton zigzag blanket that used up 1,315 meters of yarn, which is what, 3.12%. So I'm quite far behind, but I will hopefully catch up soon.
Well, I think when we start our next section, you're going to see that Pia is she's creeping up behind me very rapidly. So yeah, let's actually then move on to our next section. So the next segment is where we're going to talk about our work in progress.
All right, so now it's time for Whip It Good, which is our segment about work in progress or whips. So I've just got a couple to show today. The first one is my embroidery that I've been working on. So I'll just make sure I don't lose the needle. Oops, and I'll get the thread.
Oh, you should get one of those needle minder things
out of the way. So this is an embroidery pattern that I got off Etsy from a store called Blooming Day Things. And it's going to be like an embroidery version of the Japanese bridge painting by Claude Monet. So I've finished kind of all the sort of leaf sections, and I'm now up to doing sort of the bridge, and now also adding in some of the lilies in the water section. So yeah, that's what I'm up to with that. It does take quite a while. So yeah, hopefully I don't know if I should aim to finish this by the end of the year, because I do have some time off work kind of over the Christmas New Year break, so that would be something good to work on, I guess, especially now that because we're in the southern hemisphere, we're in summer. So this will be something good to work on those really hot days where you don't want to have, you know, if you're knitting a blanket or whatever and you've got this thick blanket over your lap, it's not very nice if it's very hot weather, whereas the embroidery is definitely something that you can work on even on really hot days. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind for summer. And then my other two whips that I have to show you today, one is this sort of rainbow blanket using this wavy pattern, and this is from the Knit-O-Matic website. So this one I was kind of doing as a kind of way to use up the rainbow cotton that I had left over from the zigzag or chevron blanket that I showed in the finished objects section. So yeah, it's just a kind of like, I decided just to do something different instead of a zigzag, to do sort of like a kind of a wavy pattern. And also this time, instead of doing like one big or one sort of thick stripe for each color and just doing one rainbow for the whole blanket, to do kind of thinner stripes and then do a couple of repeats of the rainbow. So with this one, I'm actually a bit stalled because I kind of, I thought I would have enough yarn to do at least two repeats of each color, but I've actually got this much yarn left of this kind of blue purple color, and I need to do one more row of that. So I've ordered some more, and so that one I guess is a little bit on hold until that arrives. But that's right.
Where's that yarn? Is that from Hobbii?
Yeah, that's the rainbow 4-ply cotton from Hobbii.
Oh well, hopefully it will arrive. I found their shipping's actually pretty quick, like considering that it's coming from
Denmark.
Denmark to Australia. Like I think I ordered some recently and it maybe took a week, I want to say. So yeah, I think
hopefully you don't. I guess it's also like the kind of busy time of year for you know, mail and online shopping and all that sort of thing, so we'll just wait and see. But I also have this other blanket that's also been keeping me busy. So this, I showed this one in the, I think I showed it in the dream weaving section of the last episode, and it was just two tiny little swatches that I knitted up, and now it's turned into this. So this is the Happy Valley Baby Afghan blanket, which is a free pattern that you can get on the Lion brand yarn website. So this is using their ice cream yarn. So in the pattern they were originally just using the green, yellow and pink, but I decided to make it sort of a bit more of a rainbow and add in the blue and purple as well. So I'm planning to do, oops, there's just like a little bit of thread there. I'm planning to do kind of 3 repeats, so 15 rows in total. So I have made it slightly bigger than the than what it was in the pattern. I also made the squares a bit bigger. I think they cast on with 21 stitches, but I decided to cast on with 31 stitches just because I felt the squares were quite small when I knitted up the swatch. So yeah, I decided to do them slightly bigger, but it's still exactly the same technique, which this is a mitre square technique. So when to knit the next square, I'll pick up the stitches along here and here to make the cast on of the next square. And then, so yeah, like this is like the cast on of this blue square. And then every row, or every second row you decrease by 2 stitches, and that kind of pulls the fabric in to make that sort of diamond or square shape. So yeah, it's quite satisfying to knit this one up because each square doesn't take that long, so maybe about sort of 20 minutes to half an hour. So yeah, you feel like you're making progress, whereas I sometimes feel like with a blanket like this you could knit for an hour and have only added like a centimetre to your blanket. So even though it's probably overall the same number of stitches as 2 of these squares, I feel like sometimes with the mitre square it just feels like you're making more progress. And actually I didn't bring it down with me, but I got some like graph paper and made like a chart of drew out, just like with like coloured pens or highlighter pens, drew out like a chart of all the squares of this, like a paper version of it, not like full size, but just, you know, on a sheet of paper. So it's been quite fun, like ticking off the squares as they go.
Satisfying, yeah.
So I think I'm actually just over halfway with this one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for my whips, what am I going to show first? I might show the ones that I did show a little bit of in the last video, and then I've got 2 that are completely new. So my first one is my Stegosaurus, which I'm calling Greg the Steg.
That's cute.
So I think last time I'd only done a couple of these, but now, yeah, I've done all of the motifs for the scales down the back. So it has 8 scales in total, and the scales in the pattern, and I decided to just follow, I guess, this aspect of it. The scales she does in like a solid color, and then the like motifs for the rest of the body you like do each round in a different color. So I kind of decided to follow that, but she did all of the scales were in the same color, purple, but I've decided to do like a little bit of a rainbow effect. So I'll see if I can hold this up. So I have like the front one in red, then orange, then yellow, and then the last one, which is a smaller one on the sort of tail bit, is green. And then this is kind of like, I'll just hold it up in the bag, the color palette, and this is all using Catona, Scheepjes Catona, which is just a fingering weight mercerized cotton. I am also actually stalled on this. I thought I wouldn't have to buy more yarn, but I've only got this much of this yellow and this much of the red, and I just don't think that that's going to be enough to do, yeah. Or I would then only have like 1 or 2 motifs that had any of those colours in there, and then I think that would look a bit weird that I've got the scales in these colours and they don't feature anywhere else. But so I think so far I have also, because I guess it's always fun to kind of like, yeah, make yourself some kind of progress tracker. I just have like in Excel, I've added up so I need 65 of these motifs in total, and I think I have done, I want to say like 12 or 14, maybe 14, but whatever I've done, I've worked out is 21% of what I have to do so far. So I think I had 2 or 3 in the last thingo, and now I've got this stack. So, and what it will be exciting is once I've done these ones, then I get to start doing the multicolored ones. So I think that will start to get quite fun, like sort of playing with different color combinations and seeing how I go with that. And my plan is, so the last round of each motif is the one where you join to the neighboring ones. So I'm going to actually do the last round of every motif in white. So it will be white, but then the sort of multicolored
border in between each one.
Yeah, I just think that would look sort of a bit more cohesive than doing them all. And I think from what I've seen of like other people's project pages on Ravelry, most people do that. Some people do like every single motif has exactly the same colors. And other people do multicolored, but I think from what I've seen, everybody does the last round in like a consistent color throughout the project. So that is that one. So it is, I think the official name of the pattern is called Puff the Magic Stegosaurus, and it's from Heidi Bear's Designs. So that's number one. Number two is another one that I just have a pile of things. Grab them all out of this bag. I did have them in like a bit of an order, but I just sort of jumbled them all up, but I suppose it doesn't matter. So I have this huge pile of these linen stitch squares that I've been making. So I did decide to settle on the square because I just felt, like I said before when I was talking about the cowl, I just really like the linen stitch for this kind of like speckled yarn. I think it really shows off the color changes really nicely, and you really, because
I like this one.
Yeah, I mean all of them are awesome. I think I don't know which one my favorite is. I was sort of looking, I think this one's my favorite. I think this one, it's like white with these really vibrant speckles. But yeah, so because you turn your work every round, it's not crocheted in the spiral like a normal granny square would be. You don't really get that pooling, and you really get, this one too, purple lavender cottage.
Yes, I do like that one. I do like that one.
Yeah, I think it just really highlights the colours. So I might just take a photo of them because I think it's just going to be... I think it's going to be too hard to show them all on camera, but I'll take a photo and put it up on the side so you can see all the different colours. So I think I've done about 35 of them so far. I am thinking I might have to do maybe like 100 and something to make like a decent sized blanket. I think I'm just going to sort of crochet them together with a border to make a blanket. But I think I've worked out, so these are all using these little like 10 gram minis that I bought from Little Woolly in her scrap packs. So I think each scrap pack comes with about a dozen 10 gram minis, and I think I said in our previous video it's all her hand dyed stuff. That was a lie. It's hand dyed stuff from various different dye houses, but ones she stocks obviously, but it's a mix of, so basically anything that she stocks, it can you might get it in one of these scrap packs. So yeah, and I think I've worked out that to make one of these squares takes about 3 grams. So I think I can probably, out of each 10 gram mini, I can get three squares, maybe even 4, because the scale that we have is just like a kitchen scale. It's not like a very accurate scale. Yeah, so I think maybe 3 to 4 of each color I can get out of one of those 10 gram minis. And then I will just basically keep going until I think I've got enough to make a decent sized blanket, and then I will crochet them all together. And I know you can sort of do the join as you go method, but I kind of didn't want to do that because I think what I want to do is have them all finished and then choose the layout. I guess if you do the join as you go method, you have to, you can't really play around too much with the layout, or you have to like really think about it before you start joining. So yeah, that is my second whip. My third whip, and that is crochet as well, obviously. My third whip is another crochet. Where's my ball of yarn? So I think I wasn't working on this at the last one. I started this I think maybe about a week and a half ago. So it's going to be a top. So the pattern is called the Eden crop top, and it is from Carrie Chambers. Also free pattern available on Ravelry. I did do a little bit of modification to the pattern. So I had to make it a fair bit bigger than, I think the biggest size that was in her pattern was like, the foundation chain was about 100 chains long, and I think I had to do about 150. But, oops, I'm about to unravel it. But having said that, it is, I guess, a size inclusive pattern in the sense that she gives you at the end, she gives you a formula to modify the pattern to any size.
Yep.
So I think from what I remember, it just has to be a multiple of 4 stitches, I think. Don't quote me on that though, but she does tell you how to, and then when you get down to doing the decreases, like you basically crochet like a tube. And I also modified it that I added a lot of length. So she does, after you do the ribbing, she does only 16 rows and then she starts to shape for the bust. But I wanted it to basically come down to, if I was wearing high-waisted jeans, about the waistline. So it'll still be like a shorter top, but not a full-on crop top. Just because I think I'll get a lot more use out of something like that, you know, I could wear it to work, or because like my workplace is fairly casual, but like I don't think you could get away with wearing like
a crop top,
like essentially a bra to the office. So yeah, I made it longer, and I just basically kept trying it on until I was happy with that. And I'm just about to split and start shaping the bust. So I think I did about 45 rows instead of 16 rows. And yeah, and then she gives you the formula for how you shape the bust if you've had to make the foundation chain bigger. So that is that one. Hopefully I can finish this in maybe a week or so. And this yarn is also that Abbey Road Freedom Cotton, which is like a DK weight. And this one is, the colorway is called Freckles. So it's sort of this I would call this like a bluey grey, and then sort of cream and burgundy, and like this sort of orangey brown colour. So I'm on my 3rd skein of this, and this is the last one I have left. So I am really hoping that it will be enough to finish it, because I don't want to have to buy another one, because I think if I did, I would probably only use like 10 grams of it or something. I think I can do it, hopefully. So that is my 3rd whip, and then my last whip is a knitting whip, and it's exciting for me, probably not that exciting for lots of other people, but I have started knitting my first ever pair of socks. So I've almost finished the cuff. I think I've got about 2 rows to go on the cuff. I'm just doing the vanilla sock from Crazy Sock Lady. I think that's probably most people's or a lot of people's first ever sock that they knitted. I am finding that I'm pretty slow with the DPNs, but that's just like, this is what I had. I don't have a circular in that small of a size, so yeah, I will try with the DPNs. If I really don't get along with them, I might try like a 9-inch circular or magic loop. I'll see how I go, but I don't know, I feel like it's probably the type of thing that, you know, what you learn with is what you use, because like I've seen some people say, you know, DPNs are really hard, you should try magic loop, and then other people say no, don't use magic loop, use 9-inch circulars, etc, etc. So I guess, yeah, it just depends on personal preference. At the moment, I do feel like I'm like knitting something that's alive and like trying to attack me. And probably also what I should have said as well is this is the first project where I'm trying continental knitting. So previously I have knitted with like the English or throwing style, but I decided to teach myself continental knitting. I obviously didn't start with this. I basically just knit just a scrap ball of yarn that I had left over from making some dishcloths. I basically just knit a swatch in continental style. I knit it, pulled it out, knit it again, pulled it out, knit it again, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm ready. So I'm probably a bit slow because, yeah, first time using DPNs, but also first real project doing continental. Oops. This is the yarn that I'm using. So it's just obviously a fingering weight, a 4-ply merino nylon blend. I don't actually know the name of this colorway though. So it's from an Etsy shop. She's based in the UK, called Ruffles Crochet Crafts, I think. And she does like these sort of mystery bags. So I bought one of those, and it was just like a 300 gram mystery bag. And so in the one that I got anyway, I can't say for certain if all of her mystery bags are like this, but so in the one that I got one full skein, so 100 grams, and then a couple of 20 gram minis, and then a whole bunch of 10 gram minis as well. So this is from the full size skein, but obviously nothing in the mystery bag has any name. So I actually don't know if this is like a colorway that she normally dyes, or if it was like an experiment. I'm not too sure.
Something like discontinued.
Yeah. Or I guess like a lot of those like indie dyers just do like one of a kind. Like they do dye up a couple of yarns and it's just, they don't repeat them. So I don't actually have the name for that, but it's just like a 4-ply, pretty standard sock yarn. So hopefully by our next episode I will have finished, I'm sure I will have finished the cuff. I don't know if it's maybe a bit ambitious to
I'll finish the whole sock.
But I think I'm just really slow because it's the ribbing, and like purling, purling with the Continental is a little bit hard for me still. Still experimenting with so I've been trying either pushing the yarn like forward to get the tension to sort of wrap it around either with my index finger or with my middle finger. And I found that on the larger needles, the middle finger was more comfortable, but on the DPNs, I think using my index finger is actually more comfortable. So I'm still sussing that out a little bit. But hopefully once I get off the ribbing, then the stockinette, because I find like, even though I haven't really been doing Continental knitting for very long, my knit stitches, I'm a lot faster with the Continental than with the English style. So those are all my whips. So that's it for whips. So I think now is time for our final segment, which is where we talk about future plans and anything that we have picked up recently. So now it's time for our dream weaving section, and dream weaving is the section where we talk about future plans, things we want to knit and crochet or embroider or sew or weave, anything.
Any fibre
in the future, and also we talk about any new yarns or anything like that we have picked up. If looking at what people have bought, if shopping stuff isn't your thing, then I guess we'll see you in our next episode, and thank you for watching. But if you would like to see some new things that we have picked up and any plans, then please keep watching. We're going to try and keep this brief because it is really stormy outside, so I think the light is probably starting to get not very good. So we'll sort of speed through this section. So do you want to start?
I guess so. I don't actually have anything to show for this section, but just to briefly talk about two things that I'm sort of thinking about doing next. So when I finish this this embroidery pattern from Blooming Day Things, the next sort of thing on my hoop will be another pattern that I purchased from the same Etsy store. So she also has a pattern for the Starry Nights painting by Van Gogh, which I really love that painting. So I really love to do like an embroidery, and I guess like his kind of style of painting with all the brush strokes, I think lends itself quite well to that sort of style of embroidery. So that will be something to maybe work on when I finish the try and just do one embroidery project at a time, I think, just to not get all my threads mixed up and that kind of thing. And the other sort of future plan in terms of knitting, so while we were in Kyneton, we stopped into a sort of fabric and haberdashery store called Alice in Fabricland, and I saw this really nice yarn there that I really liked, which is from, I think it's called Patterns is the brand, which I believe is an Australian brand, and the yarn is called Sierra, and they had quite a few like really nice colorways. It's just sort of like a variegated double knit, I think it was a wool and acrylic blend yarn. So I was thinking I would really like to do maybe a jumper in that yarn. So if you have any suggestions for me of a jumper or sweater pattern to use with a double knit yarn, let me know. But I was thinking maybe, I think they had a colorway that was called Desert Bloom. I think there was kind of like pastel pinks and greens and beige kind of color that was quite looked really nice. And there was one that was called Pioneer Purple, I think. And that was sort of like kind of more jewel tones, and I quite liked both of those. So maybe either one of those would be my sort of choice in terms of colours.
Cool. I do have a few things to show. So a few weekends back was the Big Wool Show, which is like an online fibre festival. So I picked up a few yarns there. I'll just show, like the ones that I did get, I'll just show like one skein of each. But all of them, I think I've got enough to make like a knitted tee or like a knitted tank top. So I'll just show them one at a time, I think. So the first two are from Skip Rope Yarn Co. And these are, they're from two different dyes, which are both Australian based. So this is the first one. It's like a pink with a light pink with then all different coloured speckles. And it's just in their So Twisted sock base, which I think is it's a 2-ply fingering weight. It has a little bit, I guess, better stitch definition than a 4-ply fingering. And this is just 100% superwash merino. And this one, the colorway is called Heart Eyes. And if the colors are not showing up very well because of the like the stormy ness of outside, we'll just put a photo in. This is the second one that I got from the Skip Rope Yarn Co. And this is on their 9 to 5 sock base, which is just like a standard fingering weight sock yarn. And this colorway is sort of like this lilac, sort of quite a blue kind of lilac with a lot of green speckles and also some magenta and sort of even some yellowy speckles as well. And this is called Wicked Pansies, is this colorway. And then the other dye that I bought from was NNK Hand Dyed Yarns, and NNK is Never Not Knitting. She's on Etsy actually. Skip Rope has their own website, but NNK is she's from on Etsy. And this is called her this colorway is called Lavender Fields. So it is really beautiful, like this lilac purple with then some darker darker purple speckles and some green speckles. And this one is also a just like a fingering weight, like a typical sock yarn again. This one is actually a merino nylon 75-25 merino nylon blend. It feels, I think it's like to me, this is more of like a light fingering weight. So the patterns that I kind of have in mind for these, a couple from Jessie Made Designs, either her outline tee or outline tank maybe, or her ripple crop top, I think were the ones that I was kind of looking at for these. So I think 2 to 3 skeins will get me there. For these, I think I probably would, with most of them, maybe make it again just a little bit longer, just so it's a bit more like I can wear it in a variety of different kind of like environments. And the other pattern that I saw recently, I think on the Airy Knits podcast, she made a top called, it's like a little tank top called the Soho top. And that is a pattern from, I don't know how to say the name, but Cadre. On Ravelry. Again, obviously we'll put a link, but yeah, I really like the way her top turned out, so yeah, I might make one of those. So those are, but I think I've still got a lot on the go at the moment, so with other like different projects, so may not get to those for a while, but those are kind of the plans that I have for these skeins. And then the other thing that I wanted to make maybe in like the sort of time off over Christmas, New Year, is some project bags, because at the moment I'm just using like random tote bags and stuff, and I've seen so many like podcasters have these really nice project bags, but they are, to be honest, like to buy them on Etsy, like they're really expensive, at least for my budget anyway. So I thought I would give a crack at making my own. I'm not a very good sewer, but I will just give it a go. So I bought some fabric from Spotlight the other day. I went into Spotlight to buy one thing and came out with like 20 things, as you do. So I'll just quickly show you. So this is some fabric with these little wombats on it that I think is super cute. this is, they had all these, they had a lot of stuff with Australian animals. So this is got like some little kangaroos and some sort of gum blossom flowers. And then I also bought a bunch of fat quarters. I won't show them all. These ones are sort of like a Christmassy pair. So I was thinking like, you know, one for the outside, another for the lining. I think they go well. Like they're obviously from the same sort of line. Use those together. This one is just like a nice floral one. I think Pia said she really liked that. So maybe if I make that into a project bag, I could give it to you.
Thank you. I'll hold you to that.
And then they also have lots of these little gnomes. Like this one is so cute. These little gnomes with bumblebees. This one has all these little ladybirds and it has like a little sign that says like Ladybug Lane. Very, very cute. But I was very grateful. The sales assistant, I think I had 8 of them like piled up, 8 different fat quarters. And she said, you've got 8 here and they're $5 each, but if you get 10, it's $25 for 10. So, she was like, go and get 2 more and you can have them for, you know, $2.50 each instead of $5 each. So that was very nice of her to let me know, because apparently it was like one of those offers where the customer has to ask for it, not the sales assistant tells you. So
like a secret offer.
So that is my plans, hopefully to make at least one project bag in the near future, and then potentially a bunch of others as well, maybe in like some different sizes. I just bought a pattern on Etsy that I think comes in 3 sizes, so I guess for like a sock size, and then a sort of medium, and then a big like maybe sweater size project bag. So anyway, that is all of our plans. So I guess that just about sort of covers it. So thank you for joining us again for the 2nd episode. Hopefully you liked it. And always appreciate to hear any comments or feedback you have about the podcast itself, or about our the things that we're working on. If you've got some suggestions of, you know, yarns that we could use for a particular project, or projects that we could use for a particular yarn. Always love to hear suggestions. And if you have a Ravelry page, feel free to let us know what that is, so we can check out some of your projects. Or if you have like an Instagram or anything like that where you share your knitting and crochet work, we would love to have a look at your account. We will leave our accounts below, but as well as any pattern that we talked about today, we'll link to the pattern, just the Ravelry page for it, in the description box. But I think that's probably about it, isn't it?
Thanks for joining us. And if you are looking forward to our next episode, then feel free to subscribe, and feel free to give us a thumbs up if you liked this episode.
Cool. And hopefully we'll see you again, and we're going to try and sort of in between the podcast episodes, we're aiming for like once a month for the podcast, but we'll try and in between use the shorts on YouTube to share some little
in between updates,
like snippets of different things that we're working on. So hopefully you like those as well. We'll hopefully catch you in our next podcast episode. Bye. See you.